The printing of the word has sparked a Twitter storm, especially from the Xitsonga community, after describing it as patriarchal and derogatory. Well, for the latest on the controversy, we speak to Professor Tinyiko Maluleke. Good afternoon, Professor. Thank you for joining us. What is offensive about this particular campaign for the Xitsonga people?
I don't think it is offensive only to the Xitsonga people. I hope you hear me.
Yes, we can. Continue.
I think it is offensive. I think it's offensive to all South Africans because this speaks to apartheid era advertising protocols and practices, where you didn't care to check what a word means. You just put it on the advert. At the least butchering the language, but at worst insulting the people. This is the worst I have seen, not just now, but even during the apartheid era. So it's offensive to all the people of this country. It speaks to a tone deafness that is difficult to define, and perhaps it speaks of a divide that continues to be there between the corporate world and the people, the consumers that they hope to entice.
Now, how damaging do you think this has been to Coca Cola and its brand?
I think it is extremely damaging. What makes it worse is that Coca Cola doesn't seem to even recognize the damage they have done. Look at their apology. They are essentially blaming the Department of Home Affairs. They say the Department of Home Affairs gave them this word. And then they also say the consumers gave them this word, as if they have no responsibility at all, no competence to deal with these things. And thanking people for alerting them to this thing. No one should alert them to these things. They should have seen it inside of Coca Cola before it went out.
Yes, so there was a failure from their internal marketing division to actually check on this word and the potential harm it could have to their brand.
I think it is common knowledge that, you know, inside a company you will check and recheck the meaning of words before a campaign goes out, especially if you are using a language that you are not familiar with. But then again, this is South Africa. African indigenous languages have been taken for granted for far too long. And this is proof, if you wanted, of the neglect to which African indigenous languages have been put, especially in the advertising world. Not just in terms of misspeak, but pure insult in this case.
Indeed. So what should companies like Coke be doing to promote inclusivity if they want to promote local languages?
Well, first of all, I think they should be fixing their internal processes for that there is enough quality assurance inside of the company. Secondly, it doesn't harm companies to learn South African languages, indigenous languages. I think it tells you how ignorant they are of indigenous languages and indigenous culture. All they want from indigenous people and indigenous languages is money. They don't want a relationship. And I think they should be thinking of that.
Now, what do you make of Coca Cola's apology that they're working on preventing any further profanity in their brand activations?
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
What do you make of Coca Cola's apology that they are working on preventing any further profanity in their brand activations?
I don't take that apology seriously. Because, first of all, it is not an apology. It is a very weak-kneed explanation which takes the blame away from Coca Cola to everyone else except Coca Cola. I mean, I don't know how the Department of Home Affairs could ever hand a word like that to Coca Cola and say, go and use it. It is ridiculous. They also claim that they've got some consumer communities that have suggested this to them. Again, extremely ridiculous. First off, I think Coca Cola must say sorry and do so genuinely if they really want to repair the damage. And it's not just Xitsonga people. We mustn't make that mistake. It's all South African people who are being insulted in this.
Well, thank you very much indeed for your insight and bringing us up to speed on that. That's Professor Tinyiko Maluleke talking to us about the Coca Cola campaign, which included an offensive word on one of their cans.